The AK-47, the gun that conquered the world. Picture this. It asks 1941. A young Soviet soldier is lying in a hospital bed. His shoulder is shattered, his unit gone. The Germans are advancing, and all he can think about is one question: why did our guns keep jamming? His name is Mikhail Kalashnikov. He is 22 years old. No engineering degree, no formal weapons training, just a tank mechanic from a tiny village in Siberia. And lying in that hospital bed, he starts sketching. 7 years later, that sketch becomes the most produced weapon in human history. More than 100 million units, used in over 100 countries. Still in active combat, right now, today. This is the story of the AK-47, and it is not just a story about a gun. It is a story about how one man has obsession, one government has paranoia, and one brutal idea about simplicity changed the entire world. Here is what most people don't understand about weapons. The best weapon isn't the most powerful one. It is not the most accurate one, it is the one that works. Every time, in mud, in sand, in freezing cold, in the hands of someone who has never touched a gun before. Before the AK-47 existed, armies had a problem. Their rifles were complicated, precise engineering, tight tolerances, beautiful machines that jammed the second you dropped them in dirt. The Germans had the MP-40, fast, impressive, but fragile. The Americans had the M1 Garand, accurate, but heavy, complex to maintain. The Soviets had rifles that soldiers hated, and Kalashnikov, a man who spent the war watching his comrades die because their weapons failed them, decided that was unacceptable. Here is the crazy part: the AK-47 is not a precision instrument. If you put it next to a German engineer's rifle, it looks almost crude. The parts have loose tolerances, on purpose. Most weapons designers would call that a flaw. Kalashnikov called it a feature. Loose tolerances mean dirt, sand, mud, they just fall through. Nothing gets stuck. Nothing jams. You can drag this rifle through a river, throw it in the mud, leave it in the snow for a week, and it will still fire. That was the idea: radical simplicity, brutal reliability, and it worked. Let us go back to the beginning, a small village in the Altai region of Russia. Mikhail Timofeyevich Kalashnikov is born, the 17th child in a peasant family. His father dies when he is young. The family is exiled to Siberia during Stalin's collectivization. No money, no connections, no path forward that anyone could see. But Mikhail is obsessed with mechanics. He takes things apart. He puts them back together. He reads everything he can find about engines, machines, tools. At 18, he joins the Red Army, becomes a tank mechanic, then a tank commander, and then, June 22 ND, 1941, Germany invades the Soviet Union, Operation Barbarossa. Kalashnikov's tank unit is destroyed in the Battle of Bryansk. He takes a shrapnel wound to his left shoulder, hospitalized for 6 months, and that is when everything changes. In the hospital, Kalashnikov keeps hearing the same story from other wounded soldiers. Our rifles jammed. We were firing and it stopped. I couldn't clear the stoppage fast enough. He decides someone has to build something better, and it might as well be him. He starts designing. He has no proper tools. He borrows machine shop access from a local railway depot. He works at night. He makes mistakes, throws things away, starts over. His first designs are rejected. The Soviet Weapons Committee says, not good enough. He tries again and again for 6 years. His 7th major design passes the Soviet military trials. The Avtomat Kalashnikova Model 1947, the AK-47. Let us talk about why this gun is different. 3 things made the AK-47 revolutionary. Number 1, the gas-operated system. When a bullet fires, it creates expanding gas. Most rifles wasted that gas. Kalashnikov used it to automatically cycle the next round. Faster fire, less effort from the shooter, genius in its simplicity. Number 2, the rotating bolt. The bolt locks with a two-lug system that is almost impossible to jam, even under the worst conditions. You can count on one hand the number of moving parts that matter. Fewer parts means fewer failure points. Number 3, the 7.62 to X39 mm cartridge. Not too powerful, not too weak, manageable recoil, enough stopping power. A soldier could carry hundreds of rounds without breaking their back. Simple, reliable, lethal, that asset. 1949. Soviet Army officially adopts the AK-47, but Stalin doesn't want just an advantage, he wants control. the Soviet Union starts sharing the AK-47 design with its allies. For free, no licensing fee, no royalties, just, here as the blueprint, build it yourself. China gets the design, builds their own version, the Type 56, produces tens of millions. East Germany, Poland, Hungary, Yugoslavia, North Korea, Egypt, Cuba, every Soviet-aligned country starts manufacturing AK-47s. The design spreads like a virus, and because it is so simple, anyone can build it, anyone can use it. By the 1960s, the AK-47 is in Vietnam, Angola, Afghanistan, Nicaragua, Yemen. By the 1980s, it is everywhere. Today, experts estimate there are between 75 and 100 million AK-pattern rifles on Earth. That is more than any other firearm ever made, by a massive margin. Think about it this way, you know how the iPhone and Android both exist. The iPhone is elegant, premium, controlled, you get it from one place. Android is everywhere, on 50 phones and 500 phones, built by hundreds of manufacturers, running on devices across every country on Earth. The AK-47 is the Android of firearms. Once the Soviet Union released that design into the world, they lost control of it. Unlicensed copies appeared everywhere, in backyard workshops in Pakistan, in factories in China, in makeshift arsenals in Africa. The design was so simple, so reliable, that it just spread, and couldn't be stopped. Let us look at the scale for a second. There are approximately 1 billion firearms on Earth. The AK-47 and its variants account for roughly 1 in 5 of them. The US military spent over $1 billion developing the M16 rifle system in the 1960s. The AK-47 cost the Soviet Union almost nothing to distribute, because they gave it away. In conflict zones across Africa and the Middle East, you can buy a used AK-47 for $200 to $500, sometimes less than the price of a smartphone. That is the economic reality of a weapon that has been in production for 75 years. Here is the part that most people find surprising. Mikhail Kalashnikov never got rich from the AK-47. Under Soviet law, he was a state employee. The design belonged to the government. He received medals, honors, a comfortable life by Soviet standards. He rose to the rank of general. But the billions of dollars generated by AK-47 production globally, none of it went to him. He spent the last years of his life troubled. He wrote a letter to the head of the Russian Orthodox Church, saying he felt moral torment about the deaths caused by his invention. He said, "I made it to protect the motherland. It is not my fault that it is used where it shouldn't be." He died in 2013, at 94 years old. And this gets to something deeper. When we talk about the AK-47, we really talking about a question that doesn't have a clean answer. Can a tool be evil? The rifle itself has no ideology. It was used by Soviet soldiers and Afghan rebels fighting against Soviet soldiers. It was used by governments to oppress their people, and by revolutionaries fighting those same governments. The AK-47 has been on every side of nearly every major conflict since 1950. It appears on the flag of Mozambique. It was carried by narco cartels in Mexico and by peacekeepers in Africa.